Hi everyone, my name is Jason Matthew and welcome to the WeCanEduTech channel. Today I will show you how you can take your existing PowerPoint presentation and convert it from a non-linear slideshow into a more dynamic and interactive one. But before we dive into the details, let's look at the final product. We are looking at a sales PowerPoint presentation that I have created. It is a demo presentation, so it contains placeholder text and stock images. The presentation is broken into 6 sections. We looked at creating sections in PowerPoint in a previous video. Link in the video description. So now I'm going to start the slideshow by clicking the slideshow icon at the bottom. First, we start with the intro section. Based on the sequence of slides, animal cells would come after the intro if this was a normal presentation. But we have added a layer of interactivity to this presentation by adding this summary zoom slide, which allows you to jump into different sections of the presentation. This means that the audience, in this case the learners, have the choice to decide what they would like to do next. In other words, they can decide to first do animal cells, then plant cells, or vice versa. Or the teacher may give them the choice to try out the quiz using their prior knowledge, and then after going through the slides, try the quiz again. For this example, let's choose the plant cell section first. So I click on the plant cell section. And once we have finished with the plant cell section, PowerPoint automatically brings us back to the summary slide for us to decide what we would do next. Let's choose the animal cell section. Now we are looking at a diagram of a typical animal cell. For this lesson, students are required to state the function of the organelles that are found in a typical animal cell. Again, we have applied a layer of interactivity to this slide. The teacher can ask their learners to decide which organelle they would like to know about first. Let's say someone chooses mitochondria. Then the teacher clicks on mitochondria, and PowerPoint takes them to another slide that states the function of mitochondria. When the teacher clicks on the mitochondria slide, PowerPoint returns the slideshow to the slide that has the diagram of a typical animal cell for learners to choose another organelle to learn about. So we could choose rough ER next. When I click on that, again it goes to a slide that describes what the rough ER does, and then it returns to the diagram of the animal cell. And when you are finished with the animal cell section, you will return once again to the summary zoom slide. And all of this was done just using PowerPoint. No additional software or knowledge of coding required. And the great news is that it is very easy to do and can be done to any of your existing PowerPoints. We are going to start with the cells PowerPoint presentation. It has the sections included, but the interactivity has not been added. I've included a link in the video description to download this presentation and all the resources I use in this video so you can follow step by step with me. Presently, it is a linear presentation. So after the intro section, there's the animal section, followed by the plant section, and so on. You will observe that there's a section at the end that includes slides that we will need for the animal cell diagram interaction. And first, we will create a summary zoom slide. Go to the top menu, click on Insert, click on Zoom, and then click on Summary Zoom. You will see the message, select the beginning slide of each section. We'll use them to create a summary zoom slide. While you're presenting, select any section to quickly move to it. At the end of that section, you'll automatically return to the summary zoom. The good news is that we have already divided our presentation into sections, so PowerPoint has automatically selected the beginning slide of each section for us. But if you have not divided your presentation into sections, then you can manually select them now. Now we click Insert. If you are using Summary Zoom for the first time, you're going to get this pop-up window. You could just click Got It. A summary slide and section is added to the top of the presentation. We can move the summary slide to exactly where we want it. In this case, we want the summary slide at the end of the intro section. So I click and hold the summary slide and drag it to the end of the introduction section. You can do this in the slide sorter view as I have done, or in the normal view. It will work both ways. Now I double click on the summary slide so that we can edit the summary slide. First thing we can do is add a title. For this example, I will add a title, "What would you like to do next?" The next thing we would like to do is delete the slides that represent the sections that we do not want to come up in the summary slide. Note, we could have done this in the previous step, but I wanted to demonstrate that you can edit the summary slide. So for this example, I want to keep the animal cell, plant cell, highlights, and quiz sections and delete the rest. So I select the intro section thumbnail and press the delete key on my keyboard. And I do the same for the last section thumbnail. Note you are just deleting the thumbnail from the summary slide and not the content or sections they represent in the presentation. I can also click, hold, and drag any of those slide thumbnails to change the order in which they appear on the summary zoom slide. In this example, let's switch the positions of the highlights and quiz slide thumbnails. So I click and choose highlights. I move it over to this other side. I click and drag the quiz thumbnail to the left, line it up. Also line up the highlights one. Okay, so there we go. The next edit we can make is to change the image of the slide thumbnail in the summary zoom slide. So for example, you probably don't want your students seeing an image of the first question of the quiz. In that case, you can change it to another image you have created. So you select the quiz thumbnail. A zoom tools option will appear in the top menu. Click on it to get more options. To the left, you will see the option to change image. Click on that. Find the image on your computer that you want to use and then click insert. So I'm going to choose this folder here, graphics for presentation, and then I'm going to choose the quiz PNG and I'm going to click insert. And you can see the image for the thumbnail has changed. If you're using the resources I shared, then the quiz PNG will be in the graphics for presentations folder. Note that I have only changed the image of the quiz thumbnail. This has not altered the content or the actual quiz slides themselves. You can further customize how your summary slide looks by using the Zoom Tools menu. For example, I can select all 4 thumbnails by clicking and holding the Shift key on the keyboard. And then choose one of the many frame options available. For example, rotated white. Oh, there it is. Or something a little more simple like drop shadow rectangle, which should be this guy. I'm going to click out this to see what it looks like. And there we go. You can increase the size of the thumbnails by clicking and dragging the corner sizing handles. I could just make them a little bigger. We could do something like this. Bring it down a little bit. All right. You can space all the thumbnails by clicking and moving the thumbnails. So I click on the animal cell thumbnail and move it a little bit out. Move this a little bit out again. And you can resize the title box as well. So maybe bring it in here a little bit. And we can highlight the text, increase its size. Okay. So now that we have moved the summary zoom slide to the intro section, we have edited the summary zoom slide. Let's clean up the presentation by removing the summary section title. You can do this in normal view or slide sorter view. For this example, we will go into the slide sorter view by clicking the slide sorter icon at the bottom. And we see the summary section by its lonesome. We right click on the summary section and choose remove section. This removes the section, which is fine as there's nothing in that section. The summary slide was moved into the intro section and it's at slide 5. Now we are going to animate the animal cell diagram slide using the slides in the picks for animal cell zoom section. So that will be the last set of slides. If I scroll down, you'll see them. So there are slides 23, 24, and 25. We're going to use these slides to animate the diagram of the animal cell slide. So you'll see it making more sense very soon. So let's go to slide 8, which is the animal cell diagram slide. So I scroll back up, I double click on slide 8, and there it is, diagram for typical animal cell. Presently, if we go into slide view and we click the forward arrow key, we go into slide 9. But we really want to go through the different organelles before we go to slide 9. We can do this using PowerPoint's slide zoom tool. So let's return to slide 8, and you can do that by clicking on the left arrow on your keyboard. We need to take screenshots of the organelles we want to animate. So for this example, let's start with the mitochondria. I take a screenshot of the mitochondria. Since I'm using a Mac, I will use the Command-Shift-4 keys to take the screenshot. And so I just take the screenshot right here of the mitochondria. The good news is that I've already taken screenshots and they're all in the graphics for presentation shared folder, link in the video description. So let's come out of the slideshow by clicking the escape key on your keyboard. And now I'm in normal view. So click insert in the top menu, click on zoom, drop down menu or drop down arrow, and you're going to click on slide zoom. Now I can choose the mitochondria slide, which is slide 23. So I click on slide 23 and I click insert. And if you're using slide zoom for the first time, you're going to get this pop-up window. You can just click got it. Now I want to change the image of the mitochondria slide thumbnail with the mitochondria screenshot we just took. So I click on the mitochondria slide thumbnail, click on the zoom tools, click on change image, which should be on the left, and then I choose the screenshot of the mitochondria that I took, and I click insert. And now the image of the thumbnail changes to that screenshot that we took. Now this one is a little tricky. We have to resize the thumbnail so that it superimposes the mitochondria in the cell diagram. And this is where having a fairly decent size monitor so that you can get the image as big as possible will really help in this case. Which is not my case right now, but I will try to do my best. Okay, so that looks pretty good. The whole idea here is that you want to superimpose the thumbnail, but at the same time don't block out the other organelles in there. So that's a pretty good job. Let me know in the comment section how you're doing with it. Now we'll do the same for the rough ER and the Golgi apparatus. So we go to the top menu, we click insert, we go to the drop down arrow by zoom, and we choose slide zoom. And in this case, we will bring in the other two slides. We're going to choose rough ER, and holding on the shift key, I can click on Golgi apparatus. So we have slides 24 and 25, and then I click insert so they come into the presentation, and then I do the same thing I just did for the mitochondria, and I superimpose these images on rough ER and Golgi apparatus respectively. Okay, and if this was a real lesson, you would probably continue doing that same technique for the other organelles. So let's go into slideshow and see what it looks like. So I click on the slideshow icon at the bottom. It goes into slideshow, and let's click on mitochondria. So it brings up the mitochondria slide. Then I click the forward arrow and it goes to the rough ER. And if I click the forward arrow once again, it goes to the Golgi apparatus. And if I click the forward arrow again, it ends the presentation, as the Golgi apparatus slide is the last slide of the presentation. And that type of transition might be what you're going for, but at the start of this video, we saw that we could return to the original animal cell slide. So let's do that. So let's go to slide 8. So I'll scroll up and I will choose slide 8. So that's the diagram of a typical animal cell. We're going to select the mitochondria slide zoom thumbnail. So I click and select it. Click on zoom tools. And this is the important part. We check the box that says return to zoom. So I click on it and now there's a check mark there. And this means it will return to the slide it is zooming from, which is in this case slide 8, the diagram of the animal cell slide. I'll do the same for the other two thumbnails. Now let's go to the slideshow and see how it looks. Awesome. I'm going to come out from the slideshow by clicking on the escape key, and let's go to insert. Let's go to zoom. So we have looked at summary zoom and slide zoom. All we have left is section zoom. And as the name suggests, we use section zoom if we want to zoom to another section of the presentation. So for example, we can go to the last slide of the animal section, which is slide 10. So let me click on slide 10. Let's resize the image. So by now you know the drill. We click on insert, then we click on zoom, and we click section zoom. And you see the message there. Choose the section or sections you want to insert. When you're presenting, select it to zoom to the corresponding section. At the end of the section, you'll automatically return to the slide you zoomed from. In this case, let's choose the highlight section. So I click on section 4 highlights and I click insert. And you're going to get that pop-up menu the first time you use it. You can just click on it. You can move and resize the thumbnail as you like. I'm going to place it in the corner at the bottom here. Let's go into full screen and see how it looks. So I click on the full screen icon. And there's the slide. And if I click on the highlights, it carries me to the highlight section where you get these different summaries and so on. And when the highlight section is finished, PowerPoint returns us to the slide we zoomed from. So let's view the final presentation and make sure that we did do everything and we have the final product as was advertised at the beginning of the video. So let's go to slideshow. There's the introduction. We go to the summary slide. If we click on plant cells, we do the plant cell section. Then it brings us back to the summary slide. We go to animal cell. And in the diagram there, we could do some cool interactions there. Then we continue with the animal cell section. We had the highlights. We go straight to highlights. And there you go. As you can see, it is very easy to take your existing presentation and make them more interactive. Please show your support for the channel by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Take care.